Africa, one of the major factors that have, for example, affected crop failures is poor quality seeds. And not too many months ago, we saw failure of certain crops like maize in the Rift Valley, in some Nyanza areas, and it was all attributed to the poor quality of seeds. And the reason is because seed producers, some seed producers, let me put it that way, are not using appropriate standards in their production processes. Further, only a fraction of our farmers are trained in quality management of their crops and livestock production, resulting in serious post-harvest losses. Scientists estimate these losses to be about 30% in sub-Saharan Africa, and that is a big issue. That's a big issue. Application of standards, as we've heard from the previous speakers, will therefore help us to manage majority of the causes of a number of agricultural issues, as well as harmonize standards for farm inputs, such as fertilizers, agrochemicals, farm inputs, machinery, and agricultural processes, which include handling, packaging, storing, and of course, processing. As I've already mentioned, standards are key in protecting the consumer from harmful and dangerous goods. For those of you in the know, you would know, for example, that if we do not use appropriate fertilizers, that will be transferred into the final product that we'll be eating, and that might cause certain health issues. So it's very important that standards come before any production process commences. KEBS is at the forefront of developing standards for the agricultural industry. We have partnerships through our various technical committees with various stakeholders in the sector. We have partnerships with the Kenya Flour Council, for example, and I know that we are busy revising Kenya Standard 1785, which will take into account the recent developments within that particular sector to make sure that we open access, market access, and we increase the market access for our farmers. We partnership with the tea farmers, and indeed we've got standards on tea, coffee, cotton, the coconut from the Coast Province, etc. And therefore we are very much in agriculture, and we want to ensure that we play our part as the standardization body in helping our agricultural sector, be they the large-scale farmers or the small-scale farmers, to increase their productivity, and more important, to produce quality products that meet the specifications that will enable them to access markets. Our standards have been developed and are benchmarked with the best in the world. We don't start from a vacuum. We are members of the International Standards Organization. We are members of Codex. We are members of IEC for the engineering standards. And therefore, when we develop Kenya standards, these are standards which have heavily borrowed from international practice, and I can confidently say are as good as those international standards. To date, we've developed about 32 standards with the relevant stakeholders regulating food safety. These include what we call the Kenya GAP, i.e. the Kenya Good Agricultural Practices, which incidentally was the first in Africa. Kenya is currently, obviously, in the process of developing more standards through KEBS. So far, we've developed in excess of 7,900 standards, of which we have harmonized 1,200 standards across the East African community. What that basically means is that there are 1,200 standards out there that are common in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Burundi. And therefore, any products that meet the specifications of those standards get easy market access to these markets. We've gone further through the common protocols and agreed that we recognize our various standardization marks within the community. And therefore, our S mark is a recognized mark within the community, and any of our products that have an S mark get easy access into these markets. A lot has been spoken in the last couple of 2 or so hours about the need for us to work with the SME sector, who happen to be the largest employers in this market. So far, about 1,900 SMEs, actually it's not exactly SMEs because some of them have more than one permit. 1,950 permits have been issued to the SME sector. And that can be equated to products actually, 1,950 have permits. And as you've already heard from witnesses, some of these products have got their way to the export market in Europe. However, we must always realize that we are always faced with new challenges. We have biotechnology products, and these are challenges that we are facing with our key stakeholders in terms of developing appropriate standards. New technologies always come with new risks. And as KEBS, we are aware that we need to play our part to make sure that we confront some of these new developments. Ladies and gentlemen, closer home at KEBS, we've been doing a number of things to make sure that you access our services, and indeed, my Director Communication has already taken you through the SMS platform that you can use to access KEBS. We know that that SMS platform is not the best, and we are working to make sure that it becomes a lot more efficient. For example, where 2 products share a similar name, you only get 1 response back. But we are working on that, and very shortly, in the next couple of months, we are coming up with a new solution that will enable you to further confirm the quality of our products. Those of you who probably could have been interested may have noticed that we recently advertised a tender for quality marks. That is actually intended to ensure that our quality marks have security features which are difficult to counterfeit. And that will help us to do a couple of things. Number 1, they will be difficult to counterfeit. Number 2, since we'll be applying them on almost all imports coming into the country, we will be in a position to mitigate the menace of counterfeits, but more important, substandard goods that find their way into our country. Today was about agriculture, so I don't want to go into a lot of the other good stuff that we are doing at KEBS. I want to conclude by thanking the government, particularly the Ministry of Industrialization and Enterprise Development, for their continued support, without whom we would have been having some problems in terms of accessing government support. And therefore, peers, our peers, I'm happy that you found time from your very busy schedule to come and join us on this very important day of the African Standardization Day.